So today's video, I'm gonna tell you how to configure TCP IP communication in KUKA Robot. So in order to use this communication protocol, first you have to make sure you need this additional software optional package Ethernet KRL code file in your hands. Get it? So first we have to install this code file into teach pendant. Means Ethernet KRL means TCP IP communication. So it's the same way like Profinet Ethernet IP communication installation in previous videos. So you still need to log in expert level already logged in and choose startup, choose additional software. As you can see, these are already installed. This is we introduced in previous video, so I'm gonna try emphasize one more time in case you are a beginner and already forgot. So we choose new software, we choose Ethernet PRL, this code file, because once you can put it in your USB disk or in D disk code, KUKA code, you choose click on it, okay? Because you can put this code file in the teach pendant in this directory KUKA OPT, you get it? So once you put it into it, or you can simply put it in your USB disk, you choose install, so everything will be okay and will be installed in the teach pendant. Okay, then we were gonna narrow down this introduction. The next step, once you finish installation into the teach pendant, you're gonna install this code file into the work visual. Remember, this is the same step like you installed Profinet Ethernet IP in work visual. Remember, still you need, I don't know whether you already installed, already remember the installation steps in work visual. I'm gonna show one more time also. So still double click work visual, but do not open the project. Just double click this software. Okay, once you open it, you choose cancel, you choose extra. It's same way, like as you can see, this is the button you can install additional software package. So as you can see, I already installed in this Ethernet KRL into the work visual. So we're gonna click on it. So the next step, we're gonna open the project. Open the project, you're gonna do things, okay? So we open the project, we double click on it. Oh, sorry, I think we need open this project, okay? This project. Wait a second. So remember, whenever you choose to do this Ethernet means TCP IP communication, just make sure the code file installed in teach pendant in work visual. Then the next step, I'm gonna enter into today's topic, how to configure into teach pendant. So I think the first step, you still need to find out the configuration file in teach pendant or in work visual. So I'm still gonna show you how to find this configure file in teach pendant, which you can also find it in work visual once you back up the file, okay? So wait a second. It's just restart the virtual teach pendant. I'm gonna show you how to find this TCP IP configuration file in teach pendant. Just wait a second. Okay. Basically, if this project you backed up from the robot, you can find it into the first. Remember, you have to set active. This is the way in work visual to find this configuration for TCP IP file. So in work visual, you can click file, you can click on this, you can click configure, you can click user, you can click common, you can click. As you can see, this is the Ethernet KRI directory folder, so you can click on it. So the configuration file in this folder. Okay, as you can see, this is my project. So basically, you only have one binary or XML format configuration for TCP IP, but you can choose this, copy it and modify it. So don't forget this project, because I copied 3 configuration file. The format XML, remember, this is the, in your project only got one, so you can delete it. Only remain one XM file for TCP IP configuration. Okay, this is the way to how to find out the configuration file in work visual. So it's the same path in teach pendant. I'm gonna show you. Okay, I'm gonna show you in teach pendant. Wait a second, still restarting. So wait a second. Okay, so first you still need to log in the expert level. Remember, expert level. Okay, already logged in, and the next step, you need to find out where this configuration file. Okay, basically it's in this way. I'm gonna system, not in this. Sorry, user. Wait a second. Still not here. Should be here. Let me check. No, not in this here. Not here. Should be here. User, let me check. KUKA user? No, not here. KRC. Should be here. Wait second. Wait second. Wait second. Wait second. Okay, let's continue. Where you can find this Ethernet KRI configuration for TCP IP configuration file in teach pendant. Still log in to expert level in KUKA disk C. As you can see, double click it in KRC. In KRC, you will find roboter. You will find configure. You will find user. You will find common. You will find Ethernet KRI. So in this folder, basically you have this binary XML format configuration file in this folder. If you don't have it, you can copy from another project. So this is the way how to find this configuration file either in teach pendant or in work visual. Okay, so we'll go back to work visual. So already show you in work visual in this path. So the next step I'm gonna telling you how to configure this file in order to make TCP IP configuration successfully. So you double click on it. Okay, so basically in TCP/IP communication, we have server and we have client. In this example, I'm gonna show you robot is client and outsider controller is server. So once you open this file, as you can see, this is external, this is internal. So if external is server, you must configure like this way. First, IP address, external IP address, port, TCP port is important, okay? Type, either for server or client, okay? So this type external is server. KUKA Robot is client. You get it? IP address, port, server, very important. So as you can see, internal means robot side configuration. We only set this sentence. We only set this configuration. Set flag 1, ping 1, then finish. Internal is KUKA Robot as client. Sorry, my spelling is wrong. We don't need to set up here. Just set up this mini. So what does this mean? Means once connection succeed, variable flag 1 turns true. You get it? Once connection succeed, system variable flag 1 will be true. Okay? So port, IP address. You get it? Okay. The next. So someone is gonna ask, what if my project is robot is server and outsider is client? That is a good question. Okay? Then how do you configure internal and external? I'm gonna show you this. As you can see, this is typically, if external is client, you just type client. Okay? Just simple. And internal, you need set this way. You need set IP address, port, alive, same like previous, and protocol TCP IP. You get it? Get it? Okay? We go back this instance. So once you finish this setting, external and internal, very important. Then the next step, you have to configure exchange data for this project. So you're gonna make sure how many data you're gonna exchange with outside. You have to make sure before you do this configuration. Remember, as you can see, this is receive, means robot receive from outsider. This is send. Remember, means robot send data to outsider. Okay? And in this configuration, all the data format is XML format. Once again, the data type is XML format. So a lot of people is gonna ask, what is XML format data type? So as you can see in this is format. Ended with this. This is the format. You can follow this data. You can follow this code writing. Element means variable. Okay, as you can see, sensor means, so let's begin with the receive data. In this receive data, I configure real type, bool type, int type. You can define whatever you need in your project. You get it? Do not follow this video. I'm gonna define only one variable. No, follow your mind. I'm gonna show you how to define it. First, this element tag, sensor position X, Y, Z, A, B, C. Real means position. And I also define bool. I also define int. Okay? And in send area, I also define x1, y1, z1, a1, c1, also bool int type data. Okay, you get it? You follow this format to define the data you want to exchange with outsider, with camera, with software, with C++, C# software, application, whatever you want. So this is the configuration file you need to define. Once again, IP address. Make sure either for server or client, and define the send and receive data. Okay. Then once you finish it, you click, you need to save this file. Okay, you need to save this file. Remember this file's name also very important, because in the coming programming you need this file name in order to call this file, in order to make this configuration file work. You get it? Name is also very important, but whatever you want, you can rename it. Okay, remember. So once we finish this configuration file, we need to define the correspondent variable, global variable in KUKA Robot, in order to mapping with this variable in TCP IP file. You can just simply understand these configuration files variables are in buffer area. But in robot project, if you need to use this variable, you have to define the global variable mapping with this configuration variable so that you can use it. So the next step, you're going to open the configuration data, configure data file in KUKA Robot. Remember, I introduced in previous video, all the global variable, you only define it in configure data. So we find that configure data, okay? We can find it in system. Okay, configure data. Remember, we define it. So we're gonna as you can see, receive, I already defined it. Receive, send. Remember how many variables you defined in receive and sending. Here you must define the same numbers of variable in configure data. You get it? Get it? Do not make less or exceed. Just follow the rules, because that is always we do the project. Okay, but if you want to do whatever you want, just follow your mind. Okay, so once you finish this define in configure data, then the next step is programming. So basically, this TCP IP communication programming, you can run this logic in SPS in KUKA Robot, in this subprogram, because it runs all the time in this subprogram. But remember, follow the real situation of your project, because this is my experiences. I always put this communication code in SPS sub-program, but it depends on your real situation. So before we start to programming the communication code, we need define two two functions for this code. One function is global get data. Another is global write data. So you can understand, get data means receive data from outsider. Write data means I'm robot sending data to outsider. You get it? So we need to declare one variable. This is the return. Just you have to define it, because this function in Ethernet, TCP IP, we need use this EKL get real, because I defined the real variable and the bool and int. As you can see, this is the EKL. This is for the TCP IP function, system function. So but this function must have a return. So we define this. As you can see, for example, binary fixed server TCP XML, which is this file, which is this file's name. You get it? And sensor position, which is this variable, as you can see. Okay, same. This is the for receive, and the px is I define it in the global configure data. You get it? Very easy. Same. This is we only use get real, eki, get real, get bool, get int. Okay, this is the get data function. Same way for write data. Same the file's name, robot, the type, the variable in this file, and we define it in get it. So we're gonna send the Rx variables values into this x1. You get it? This is sending. For receive, we're gonna get the hx values into px, so that you can use px or rx, either receive or sending. You get it? This is the get data and write data two function. You have to define it. I also, because I said I define it in SPS. Okay, in SPS. So the next step, once you define these two functions, then we're gonna to start programming the TCP IP communication code. So remember, either for server or client, first we need to initial this communication, right? The second, we're gonna open the TCP IP connection, and the last step, we're gonna to get data or write data. Right, this is the all steps. First, initial. Second, open the connection for TCP IP. If connection succeed, we're gonna get and write data. Right, so I'm gonna run this first. For initial part, basically I put this in initial of SPS part, because I put it in this way. I also define this EKL status rate, because you also can define it globally in configure data. So first I decline this return. Same way, this is for the initial. So we use this function, system function in TCP IP for KUKA. EKI initial binary server TCP, same. You just put the file's name. Means I'm gonna initial it. And initial part you need to put in SPS subprograms initial part. Okay, this is and initial. I put it into here. The second, I'm gonna open the connection. Okay, open the connection. So also the XM file, open this file. Remember the configuration file. Second, the last, I wait whether the connection is succeed or not. Remember this flag 1, I configure it. We configure it in here. Remember? So once it turns out true, we're gonna enter into the loop cycle. Okay, loop cycle. But also remember, this logic depends on the real situation you are facing. Do not just just without anything, just randomly follow this video. What I said before, typically we put this TCP communication logic into the SPS subprogram. Okay, remember? So once we end the data, we enter into the loop, wait for flag turns true, then we enter to the loop, get data, we call the get data function, write data function, and wait second. So then finish. Then you can monitor the variable or sending variable. I think the communication is successful. Okay, this is today's video to tell you how to configure TCP/IP in KUKA Robot site. See you next video.